Hey, Toothers, it is 2:45 in the morning. I am unnecessarily cogent. I think it's because my shoulder doesn't feel like there's a ball of spikes in the middle of it trying to stick out of me. That may change. I got a cortisone shot the other day, and it's fluctuating in when I'm okay and when I'm in excruciating pain. So at the moment, I'm free and clear to just be annoyed and terrified. I don't know if you're paying attention to the unapologetic shit show that is becoming the cabinet of the president-elect, people he's selecting to run various aspects of the country. It feels like a farce, and as a pessimist, there's a certain amount of other darkness that comes to mind or that I could entertain. That it's all a setup because none of it matters. None of the roles matter because they're going to go away, right? None of it's relevant because he doesn't care what other people actually think. Just having sycophants, that ilk in these seats of power, it fills up the seats, but they're not going to have a whole lot of say, or all their say is going to be whatever they're told to do. And I started building a page on this, but honestly, Politico has a tracker for Trump's cabinet picks. They are, almost without equal, some of the strangest picks and least qualified people, right, to fill positions. And, the two most recent ones that came up, I think, like late last night, or that I didn't hear about till late last night, one being Attorney General Matt Gaetz. And if you're not familiar with Matt Gaetz, that is amazing. He was once up for investigation on trafficking underage girls, and I didn't get into too deeply why the case was ultimately dropped or why the situation was dropped. It really seemed from initial reports that it was a slam dunk and he should be put out to pasture. Now he's going to be the Attorney General. I can't. That's crazy to me. Secretary of Defense, admittedly, an Army veteran who was in Iraq and Afghanistan, but was not in a position of real authority. He doesn't have experience with the Pentagon or working in government either, because he's a Fox News host, and kind of a dopey one at that, apparently. Some of the clips I've been seeing online about, I haven't washed my hands in 10 years, like germs aren't a thing, or just a general ineptitude. This is something really unusual about that pick as well. Marco Rubio is Secretary of State. He's probably one of the few people who seems at least qualified to be in a cabinet position. Secretary of State seems kind of a lot. I mean, he's a hardliner. Some countries, he supports things like NATO, which is not something that Trump has been especially fond of. I mean, NATO specifically, not Little Marco. Right, Little Marco? Yeah, I think that's what he called him. I'm waiting for Ted Cruz to be court gesture. I mean, this is nuts. And running DHS, running Homeland Security is going to be Christie. I shot my dog Gnome. How are we here? Look, and there are more. I'm not going to get into them. There are other people keeping track of this better. Like I said, Politico is a good tracker. If you look up Leeja Miller, Leeja, I've mentioned her before. She just did a great video today or yesterday about this debacle. The Daily Show was talking about it too. I mean, everybody's talking about it. I started to think it was a joke, but now I'm thinking that there's real intent because he doesn't care. So all these roles that are less relevant to him because he's going to rule it with an iron fist or, I don't know, an orange Cheeto hand, whatever, it's laughable, right? It feels like we're being set up for an asteroid to hit. I mean, I'm slightly reminded of The Fifth Element, where Zorg is trying to work with Mr. Shadow, the entity that's coming to destroy the earth, knowing that he's coming to destroy the earth, he's still working with them. It's Trump is the herald of Galactus, and we're going to all be destroyed in fiery alien machinery. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me right now, man. I know that the last video was about keeping up the fight, remembering what we're fighting for, but it's hard to know what we're fighting against sometimes. I mean, white male Christian nationalism, sure, but with people like Stephen Miller coming back into prominence and power, that dude, I'm surprised he doesn't call himself a Nazi. It's what he is. His beliefs, his attitudes. I mean, that dude would run the worst cult imaginable if he could. But he's got the charisma of a wet brick. It's unreal to me. It doesn't feel like I'm waking up to reality, to actuality. It's fascinating. I've tried a couple other recordings lately, and I haven't had a lot of success because they just sound terrible to me. But for those of you on the Substack, I think I mentioned this already. If I have, I apologize. But I am starting to try to put together some informational material, mostly for me. If other people find it interesting, outstanding. And if you don't, that's still fine. I'd like to collect information. I like to have it in a place where I know I can go and look for it. I mean, yeah, I can Google, but sometimes you end up down a rabbit hole trying to find exactly what you want. And I like to have the links to the things that I want. So being in New Hampshire, as an example, I've got various links just saved to how to call the governor, or how to contact the governor's office or reps or senators, which is usually you fill out a form to kind of indicate where you live, and then you can put in your message, right? So they screen that stuff, I guess, but it's worth checking out. It's worth starting to get a better sense of the laws that we're trying to get passed in the state, and to have an opinion, right? I mean, elections are great. They're a great place for us to go in a broad sense, but we're at a point now where we're fighting from behind. We are, in the lion's den. And what I'm hearing, it seems that trying to do things at a local level is our best bet, right? To try to really show those up the chain. We wanted to pound sand. I mean, do I think it's going to help? I don't know. The way it seems things are going, it's almost like we're doomed from the start. But, if we just give up, then aren't we complicit in some way? Like, I get the uphill losing battle. And I don't want to, I guess I don't want to pretend that it would be our fault for not fighting or for failing. But, if you get something to believe in and something to go after, it's almost annoying to me that I feel like we owe it to ourselves to try, right? For those of you who know me. I don't push a lot, stuff like this is still pretty outgoing for me. But again, it's just a part of the curiosity, and now it feels like it's a part of just survival. What do we do? Can we pull this off? And what even are we trying to pull off? I mean, we're just trying to survive. We're trying to show that, we get that you won the election, and that you feel like it's some kind of mandate for all of your crazy, insane shit that you said you were going to do. And then I don't know anything about that, but oh no, we knew we were going to do this the whole time. And then to find out post-election, or during election day, or even after, right? I mean, there was people searching Google for, is Biden still president? And people they're starting to understand the weird fact that they wanted Trump to repeal Obamacare, because of course that's what they were told what they wanted, and they believed it, only to find out he's repealing the Affordable Care Act, which they desperately need in order to survive, right? There's instant buyer's remorse. And I'm not going to pretend like those numbers are huge, but it is happening. There are businesses who are preparing for the increase to their costs because of how tariffs work, which I've already mentioned. It's weird to go through an emotional reaction and to make decisions based on that emotional situation you were in, and to find yourself taking a breath and realizing, oh shit, is that what just happened? Did I did I say that out loud? Did I do that? And to some extent, it's too late, right? If we're gonna follow the lead of the Democratic leadership and just play the moral card, like, oh well, we're gonna have a peaceful transition. Like, yeah, I understand that that's important for maintaining a certain amount of personal and cultural dignity, but it feels like they're just laying down, right? Like all of a sudden, oh, we can't do anything, and maybe we can't, but they aren't pretending to care. I mean, there's some that are, but you're just thinking about the Trump trip to the White House to meet with Biden, and Biden saying how it'll be a nice peaceful transition, and I'm sure Trump's like, I don't care. Like, get out of my house, old man. It's time for a younger old man to step in and ruin everything. It's epic. It's just epic to me. Not in a good way, just in scale of what we're up against. And Trump's already talked about doing things like killing the Department of Education, and he's assigned a jackass to run the EPA, and in one of the interviews, just not talking about the environment at all, and talking about energy and talking about how we're going to have the best energy. Like, that's a different department. I believe it's called the Department of Energy. I don't recall it being part of the Environmental Protection Agency. So it's, the cat's out of the bag, and there's still this sense that either people don't care, or they still believe the lie, or they're starting to understand that, oh, we are screwed. I mean, it's all over the place. And the postmortems around what the Democrats did wrong, I think, based on the things that I've been hearing, that people had, on the ground concerns. They had concerns about the economy. They had concerns about, the price of eggs, which is fair, right? Rents are too damn high. Food's expensive. Cost of living has not leveled off with the pay scale. And, here we are trying to tell people that fascism is a problem, which it is. I still believe it, and I would still say it. But for a lot of people, that's not preventing them from being able to feed their families. Yeah, I don't know. It's a scary time. I think trying to find what we can do to help disrupt that, or to help, pester your elected officials, right? Send them messages, look up the bills. I know it's work. I know it's more than we can handle with our given day-to-day experiences. I'm not overly excited about this prospect myself, and I'm the one who's trying to lead some kind of charge, I guess. I don't know. But I think it's a product of, to some extent, just being born here and being able to take for granted these experiences, right? One of the things that comes up that I hear all the time when you talk about immigration, and you talk about people becoming U.S. citizens, they have to take a real civics test. And I took civics briefly in high school, but, it's not part of my day-to-day. Like, I forgot that the House and Senate are Congress. Like, combined, we can just call that Congress. I was reminded of it as part of this process, and that's a little thing. Realistically, it's just a naming thing. It doesn't have a lot of bearing, but it's just still a sign of the fact that I know we've got representatives and senators. I don't know what they vote on. I don't know 100% why we have those two different bodies. I don't know the relevance of them. I don't know, why New Hampshire has 435 state reps. I mean, that seems extreme. I know they're all part-timers, but it's still a lot of people for a state of this size. We have towns in New Hampshire that don't have that many people, I think. We did in Illinois anyway. I remember that. But, have we as a country, as a society, not that we deserve what's coming. It's just, have we been blinded by everything else? I mean, I hope not. I don't think everybody has this experience. And there's obviously plenty of people who have been on this and who care and who've been trying to drive towards, a more robust reality to look at in terms of what it means to be a responsible member of a democratic society. But I don't know. I guess I just think by and large that it's not top of mind for most people, especially when the media, the news, movies, commercials. I mean, there's so much done to advertise for our attention and our usage of resources and our certain increase of being selfish that we miss things. Again, I don't think that it's intentional. I don't think that we're to blame in that respect. Not explicitly to blame. Oh, there goes my shoulder again. See, this is what I'm talking about. It was feeling like I actually had a shoulder again, and now it's like, hey, by the way, this still sucks. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tired and rambling, but it feels like this is where we earn the democracy that we want, that we believe we're supposed to have. And it may be a losing fight, but it won't be the wrong fight. And if you can't, right, if all you can do still is kind of sit around and take it, you voted the way you could, and you try to tell people what you could, and doing some of the things I'm talking about isn't in your wheelhouse. I'm not going to come at you and say that you're not doing enough, because we're all people, right? We also have to figure out how to navigate this messed up world even before the terror that is to come. We have a lot going on and a lot to deal with. So being able to try to shift focus from I can't afford food to now I got to fight fascism. We are not the generation who has had to endure that level of hardship switching, right? We didn't come out of the Great Depression and then go into World War II, right? We're not being attacked relentlessly by an enemy. We're not being. I mean, the Israel thing is going to keep coming up. Honestly, I've got too much in my feeds showing me that utter. I mean, it's gone beyond just the annihilation of the people in Gaza, and I think the West Bank is next. Like I don't think they're done in Gaza yet, but to spread it to Lebanon the way that they're now aggressively doing, like that's war, isn't it? They've gone from a genocide in their own country to declaring war on other. I mean, not declaring war, but committing acts of war in other countries. And we and the United States as a nation is going to send Mike fucking Huckabee to be the ambassador to Israel, who doesn't believe Palestinians exist. And I understand that argument, right? The Palestine and Palestinians, these are words that are made up by people who are not those people. They're not specifically an ethnic group, which incidentally, neither were the Jews, right? They were Canaanites back in the day who decided to call themselves something else and believe in something else. I mean, all this stuff is made up anyway, all these terms and naming conventions, but the behaviors shown have real consequences. So we're putting people in power in this country who also do not care about the plight of people. They espouse lies about them. They believe lies about them. And they just deny that they're people. It's unfortunate to me, especially as a kid who was bullied. I have to cough again. Indignant and useless hate has taken over. I mean, I'm a middle-aged fat white guy. Like I'll be affected just based on the economy, but I'm not going to be as worse off as other people, as other groups. I know this. It's just that's coming. It's what they want. It's what they keep saying that they intend on doing in this country and in other countries. I mean, the right wing is popping up all over the place, and there's a sense of just like the incumbency, right? The existing power structure isn't doing what people needed or what they wanted to do. And even over here we were talking about how the economy is better, which it is. However, rents are too damn high. Eggs are expensive. Gas is, I mean, I hope we all remember gas has been fundamentally worse than it is. And just the reality of U.S. Kind of economic policy and how for the last several decades, it seems the Republicans don't know how to balance a budget. The Democrats do. That's just the reality. But people's perception of it, that's the truth, right? I mean, a handful of you may remember that I used to have a site, Perception is Truth. I put together a book that I'm no longer allowing people to get, called Perception is Truth. I mean, I think we all have a pretty good handle on, especially if you weren't aware of it before, you definitely do now, just how people, what they think they see to them is their reality. And look, we got people on every side that are doing this. And we got people on the left talking about speak your truth. Like, okay, well, is that the truth? And what limits are there to that truth? Right? Like I'm a fat guy with diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And this call for everybody is beautiful and to love your body. I mean, I appreciate the sentiment of wanting to accept yourself for who you are. But if who you are is wildly unhealthy, walking around as though you're entitled to still be, and I don't mean like beauty standards. I just mean to walk around like you're not unhealthy. I mean, whose business is it though, right? I mean, honestly, it's between you and your doctors and your cardiologist and the people that you allow into your existence, right? I'm not saying that we should go around fat shaming people. I mean, I do it to myself all the time, but I'm not condoning the idea that we should be able to walk down the street and just go, ha ha, you're chunky. Like, yeah, thank you. I am aware. That's not what I'm saying. I think that as part of taking things for granted, or as part of a certain amount of self-delusion. You know, yeah, embrace who you are, embrace what makes you you. But I feel like it's incongruous to pretend that just because you love who you are doesn't mean that you can do things to improve. And that looks different for everybody, different metrics for everybody. But I mean, if your health is important to you, then there are steps that you can take that you can kind of deal with. I don't think that weight is a genetic problem for everybody. I think there are some people that are, genetically predisposed to keeping on extra weight or just anything, right? I mean, there are various elements within the biological system that we are stuck with. But I don't know. And my attitude may change on this, but I don't see embracing your weight the same as embracing being trans, right? That's a different level. Being gay, it's a different level. Being straight is a different level, right? I mean, it's all stuff that's wildly out of our control. And especially in the US, I mean, we have a reputation for being overweight. We have food choices that keep us overweight, that keep us addicted, right? A lot of it is out of our control. There isn't always the option, the opportunity to live a, wholly organic lifestyle, but maybe walk around once in a while. Oh, it means I have to walk around once in a while now, doesn't it? I hate saying things out loud to people that are going to hold me responsible for my own words. I don't mean anything by some of the stuff that I say. I'm trying to convey a sense of personal responsibility as well as minding your own business, right? It's about, a lot of it's about looking inward. A lot of it's about how do I navigate this physical experience in the best way I can. And we have a lot of factors that run against us normally, and then to top off with everything that's coming for us and depending on where we're at, right? I mean, we're looking down the barrel of fascism, which is a real scary bit for us, but we're not being victims of a genocide that's being denied by people in power, right? There are a lot of people that are calling for their leaders to just admit that there's a genocide, and they're saying there isn't a genocide. They're denying that this thing that's happening is a genocide, or that it's becoming a broader war, and they're allowing the furtherance of this death and destruction and chaos and torture, and to try to help or to try to find a way to help while also dealing with the things in your own country and to deal with the things in your own life. It's a lot. It just feels like the longer that we are around, the more responsibilities get thrown at us. I've got 2 kids and one's not fond of school. Like, we got to find you a skill so you can be able to have a job. We're perpetuating the capitalist cycle, which, may or may not be relevant, but I'm going to keep doing it. It's also largely just to help provide a level of focus towards something that is more than just goofing off, right? Trying to find a sense of purpose. Because at some point, games give out, right? You can feed the beast for so long, and I still play games. I'm not going to pretend like, I'm above it all. I still play games like a maniac, but and they're fun, and you can meet people and you can have a good time. It can be a good way to vent and to socialize and to just be. But it's not. I don't perceive it being everything for someone, right? There's a lot more to be able to do. There's a lot more in the world to look at, to experience, a lot more to read and to write, maybe, and to listen to music or to play music, right? Being creative is hugely important, I think, for people. And again, it's part of the taking it for granted. We get to do that in societies like we have, and like other places have. We're not the only ones, because we have that availability. We have that availability of time. We're not spending every day in and out just trying to survive. We're not avoiding bombs. We're not burying our parents. We're not burying our children. I mean, these things do happen, but I'm bringing up, not just the Israeli situation. The Syrian situation. When has the planet not been at war with itself? Sometimes we have to take actions. We have to shift our focus. We have to add some important responsibilities onto our shoulders and try and carry that along. And it's not fun, and it's largely not fair. But we're dealing with so many things that are out of our control that all we can control is how we react to them, what we do about it. That's all we can control, honestly. We can barely control our reactions to things. We have an instant kind of response, with the brain. The brain knows we're going to do something before we know we've done it, right? It's the timing has been studied fairly well. Certain parts of the brain, I think, operate at different speeds, but it's pretty, we're talking microseconds of difference. So to be able to show, or to be able to take a moment and determine some intention, it's helpful. And I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. I think I'm just desperately rambling, trying to find a solution. And there isn't a big solution. It's all little stuff. It's little things that we can do, that we have to constantly do, right? It's not a one and done. It's not a set it and forget it, right? These are the things that I enjoy about my existence. I love automatic bill payments. I love the consistent bills that come in and go out that I can plan for, and then still spend too much money on food I shouldn't eat, right? I'm not above the things I'm talking about. I'm probably largely talking to myself about having some greater sense of responsibility for being alive, as much as I've not wanted to be for a long time. I've long past run out of reasons to still want to not be around. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop. It's a depression thing. It's going to be around for forever. But I don't have a reason. There's no logical call for it. It's always an emotional call of the void, so to speak. So these things, they may return, but I have things worth being here for, right? I've got the kids. I get the kids on weekends, so I guess during the week I don't have anything, but weekends definitely. And handful of people I'm close to, and other people that bother to take the time to listen to me and to hang out with me, and that's important too. And then I don't feel the same sort of responsibility or weight on my shoulders for the world writ large, But if I want my children to live in a world that's different than what I'm in, then I have to, right? I want them to appreciate other people. I want to appreciate that other people exist and that they may need help, and that sometimes helping is just harassing elected officials to be better, to do better. And sometimes it's talking to a kid on a ski lift who's freaking out about the height and just distracting him until you get down to the bottom. Sometimes it's just little things. Maybe I get some of that from Lord of the Rings about, why the Hobbit, and how it's the little things that people do to keep the darkness at bay. There's a Phil Keaggy song. Well, I know it from Phil Keaggy. I don't remember if he wrote it or not, but it talks about being like a candle in this fallen dark world of mine, and it's preachy, but still an interesting point, right? The whole this little light of mine. The more lights you get together, the brighter things get. But sometimes all we have is our own light, and whatever that means to you. I hope you haven't blown out your candle yet, because there are people that need you, and there are people that want you, and sometimes we're not always around to show that, or we're not always able to maintain our part in that. So I hope this recording comes out okay, and I hope I'm not coming across too preachy or too bitchy, and that my shoulder goes back to working again, because now it's starting to hurt again. Perfect. Just perfect. So it's 3:30 in the morning now. I'm going to go try and turn in again, and let this process, and I'll edit it later. And I hope I do want the best for just about everybody. Not everybody. I think there's some people that deserve a hell that doesn't exist, but none of you guys. You guys are great. Seriously, brush your teeth. Floss those suckers. It's the only part of your skeleton you can clean. It's super important. Being in this situation is entertaining, but it also is horrendous. And if you have kids, brush their teeth. Hold them down if you have to. I don't care. Give them trauma. Traumatize them to brush their teeth. I mean, don't do that. Seriously. Remind them all the time. Okay, bye.